What was your school's biggest scandal? I just remembered we also had a missing pregnant girl who was actually murdered by her boyfriend and stuck in the compost bin at his grandpa's home, and somehow it took police way longer than it should have to find her body. If I recall correctly, the boyfriend's grandpa was washing dishes in the kitchen and kept staring at the compost bin with a weird feeling. He goes to check it and finds her body. I grew up in a small town with one high school, so this was definitely the talk of the town. In HS. One male teacher around 35 having affairs with 2 teen girls. In the same time. Another male teacher is his freaking 60s constantly hitting on teens and accidentally touching them. It was an interesting prom night. Those two were standing in a corner pointing at girls and discussing. The younger teacher went home with one of the students. In 8th grade we heard about some 2nd graders who I guess were acting out. The 2nd grade teacher brought them to the gym teacher, who punished them by making them hold 2 bags each with 2 gallons of milk or water or something like that in it as they laughed at them. The gym teacher was weird ASFTBH. I think he did it. Oh boy, where to even begin? My school is one big scandal. While I was there I saw kids having big metal dustbins put over their heads and then being beaten by senior students with metal poles. This was my first week as a wide-eyed junior. Tried to report it, and the teachers laughed us off. My friend and I still talk about this 15 years later. 2 brothers having the absolute shit kicked out of them by almost the entire senior year because they had decided to speak up against the bullshit. There's still a video of that floating around somewhere. Student in my year had his hand broken by a teacher hitting him with a cricket bat. Student in my year attempted suicide after severe bullying and harassment. Since I've left there. Police charges raised against the head boy for bullying students. Students being molested by the water polo coach. Students dying after being made to swim in a river without a life jacket or knowing how to swim. Not only that, they only noticed he was missing the next day. Countless other things. A teacher went to prison for statutory rape of a student. I knew the girl, but she was more my sister's friend. They married after he got out of prison. Tough call, but off the top probs the child porn scandal in middle school. Photos both physical and digital of girls in our school were being passed around and left in the boys' bathroom and stuff. HS we also had a shooting before it was popular. Lots of threat, including a clown threat in 2016. For some reason there were 2 instances of someone shitting on the stairs, years apart, and a bunch of the usual public school shenanigans. Me. I got pregnant. By a guy who was 2 years younger. We were both above the age of consent and had been together 3 years, but that didn't stop everyone saying I tricked him, raped him, etc. We're married now. Kid had sex in the library with one of the school thots and a school shooting threat. After reading, not a scandal, but definitely news in the small district. During the late summer, when the building was being prepped for school, it caught on fire in the upstairs and a hole had to be cut in the roof. The whole building smelled like the chemicals used to put the fire out for a while, and we were placed in random rooms for classes while the upstairs was getting rebuilt. They had also just put in new lockers very recently. When I was a high school senior, there was this kid who was a junior who was oddly proportioned to say the least. He probably weighed no more than 100 pounds, but his head was huge, and he had oversized hands too. The most striking thing about this guy's appearance, though, was his humongous feet. He wore a size 14 or 14.5 as I recall, and he was proud of it. Those enormous feet were his badge of individuality, and in the early fall and spring, he'd wear Birkenstocks every day just to showcase those giant feet. Those Birkenstocks became legendary, and were by far the school's biggest scandal. Edit, never mind. I just reread the question and realized it wasn't asking about sandals. Edit 2. A humble thank you to the person who awarded my silly story silver. My English/yearbook teacher was arrested my senior year, and they found 6 terabytes of child porn on his laptop from the dark web. 1 terabyte equals 1000 gigabytes. Well, there was the alcoholic art teacher. The DT teacher caught sleeping with a year 11th. The girl who masturbated with a Mars bar. And when I was in year 11th there was a rumor about a year 9 girl being pregnant with twins. We had a week during my freshman year where we had multiple bomb threats each day. We'd literally get back in class from evacuating and then another alarm would sound prompting evacuation. We had a kid shoot and kill one sheriff's deputy and almost killed another one with a WWIM-1 Garand. Then he got on MySpace and told everyone goodbye and blew his brains out. This was at his home, not at school, but it was a big deal. Someone shot a toilet. As a senior prank, seniors get a cow on the roof of the school. They couldn't get it down so they killed it. Also they put up online that one of their friends is giving away a free goat and his phone was about to crash from the messages lol. A kid left his iTunes on share and he had horse porn on it. My school had a very big heroin problem, so they changed a bunch of the lights from white/yellow to blue. They changes the color of the lights to blue because it makes it harder to find your veins where the heroin needle goes. My old high school. Graduated 3 years ago. My school had a huge drug problem and the source they were getting weed from had been laced with fentanyl. Had a period of time for like a 2 months where kids were rodding in the bathrooms nearly every other day. 2 teachers were put on trial for having sexual relations with students. One ended up marrying the student after she graduated, but it wasn't until years after that she was caught. The other one is much more recent, and I've heard it through the grapevine. Probably 1/3 of the staff population had multiple DUIs. Apparently we had a bomb threat, but literally nothing was done about it, and they kept classes going as normal. Turned out to be fake by some random kid in a different country, but still. Not very much a scandal, but there were large fights constantly. Saw a girl get curb stomped on my first week of school. Is it bad that I sometimes miss that place? My friends who didn't attend the school tend to make fun of it relentlessly. I stayed out of that stuff because I hung out with a different crowd, but I got to know a lot of the more troubled students as well. And it's a school in a lower income area with a lot of students who've had a rough go at life. The theater, music, and art programs at the school were amazing that gave a lot of students powerful outlet. Forgot about the kids doing cocaine in the bathroom at prom. Walked in there and noped out. Held it in for the rest of the night. The students just would not stop asking our 5th grade band teacher if she was a lesbian. Stood up at an assembly and asked everyone to please stop because she wasn't. In high school we had a student call in a fake bomb threat to avoid a test. Of course he was caught and expelled. Several of his friends tried to start a petition to have him reinstated, but nobody signed it. This was right after Columbine. In middle school we had a teacher who was always considered creepy. A few years after I graduated he was caught with child pornography. I would have been surprised if he didn't possess kiddie porn. I'm reasonably sure my 5th grade teacher was having an affair with the Italian janitor. I came into class early and he was singing a romantic Italian song to her. $700,000 went missing before my sophomore year and delayed school for 2 weeks. Before we opened, still never heard what happened. Honestly thought the school board teachers union and city electives were all buddy, so it's always left an imprint on how there's fuckery all over the place. Also that was 2011. Not my own school, but in a school close by a girl stuck a deodorant can up her fanny. The deodorant went off and gave her serious burn wounds inside her privates. The whole thing was filmed and posted on Pornhub, where it got deleted a while later for being child pornography. Her boyfriend broke up with her because he said that fingering her felt like fingering the pockets of jeans. Some kids had a 3-way at the church next door in middle school. We had multiple deaths in high school and multiple pregnancies. Oh, so it all balanced out. Nice. God, I'm going to hell for that one. It's actually really sad, but a boy from my class died in a fire. It was a really big fire and his 2 sisters, mom and dad, almost died. They survived, but the boy from my class didn't. The creepy thing was that the fire was set by the dad because he wanted to commit suicide and take his family with him or something. The family had electrical blinds and he closed them all so that the family couldn't get out of the house. Had a bomb threat. Bunch of girls nudes spread and airdropped to a teacher by accident. Students over 18 had it put on their record that they had possession of porn containing minors. Teacher got fired cause she accidentally show students her nudes. Teacher got fired for accidentally playing porn on smart TV during class. Students got caught having sex in the agree room, and a kid got caught selling weed at school and snitched on everyone he sold to. FK it, I'll tell you what happened. This guy called Goha caught two boys making out in the bathroom. Man spreads the word in the school, but claims he didn't know who it was. I do the same, because I'm Goha's friend and I know he ain't lying. How do I know he ain't lying? Because he caught me. Jason Derulo is apparently banned from my college campus for having sex with some students in a freshman dorm when he came to perform there one year. This one's a bit long, however, without naming names. High school teacher Mr. W had an affair with 17F, student J's mother. To get even, student J's father had an affair with student J's best friend. To get even with her father, student J had an affair with her father's best friend. What some people do for revenge, huh? Maybe the plot for a new Avengers movie. Administrator made local news after being caught in prostitution sting after trying to solicit male undercover cop for some strange. He had a wife and children too. Everybody heard the news, and when the principal announced his retirement, the entire school erupted in laughter. 6th grade, one kid lit a garbage can on fire in the hallway. Got expelled and hasn't been back to school since. I think she goes to the extension of our school for the trouble kids. The 7th grade science teacher got fired for slapping a kid and slamming him against a wall. 7th grade, a bomb threat in the bathroom. All bathrooms were closed except for one set, which was downstairs from where most of the students' classrooms are. We weren't allowed to bring backpacks to school. Locker checks basically every other day. Anytime we needed to leave the classroom during class, we had to have an escort from the office. This lasted until the school year ended. 8th grade, some kids got expelled for snorting Adderall. Yes, I know that is not a drug to be snorted in science class. The teacher was in the room the whole time and didn't see a thing. Also not a scandal, but some kid kept stealing small things from the locker room and hiding them in a light fixture in one of the bathrooms. It was really weird. Once they were discovered, it stopped. 9th grade, a 10th grader got pregnant. She gave birth a couple weeks ago. 10th grade, nothing's happened yet, but we are doing online learning at the moment. In middle school, all of the administration and several teachers were fired for knowingly allowing a pedophile to teach/coach at the school. In high school, the ICE supervisor was fired for having sex with one of the students. In 8th grade, my friend created a bunch of drama, and so our friend group stopped hanging out with her. A few weeks go by, and she tells one of my friends during school hours that she's going to suicide. This was when the movie Suicide Squad came out, but what she meant was that she's going to watch the movie at the theater by our school. My friends and I reported to the principal, and the cops get caught, and the counselor runs out looking for her all over the neighborhood by the school. Meanwhile, she's watching Suicide Squad. Few hours go by and word spreads around the school and everyone is talking about it. As this is happening, we see an ambulance pass by our school and everyone starts freaking out because we thought she killed herself. In reality, the ambulance wasn't for her, but for some other emergency not related. After school ends, her mom is freaking out and crying as my friend is explaining what happened. About an hour goes by and her mom picks her up from her friend's house. Very awkward situation for us. I haven't heard about this teacher before, but supposedly a teacher at my school was fired for doing the deed with a student. My teacher was having sex with the girl who sat at my table. He's in prison now. 4 male staff members, including the principal, had been sending pictures of girls in tight clothing to each other. They were also harassing female students as young as 14. It was a small school that went from 12 staff members total to 8. Absolute chaos.